Oh, yeah. Is it Tuesday already? Starting off the week on the right note with Ahsoka Season 2 news. Some behind the scenes images from the cast and crew, also revealing some insane leaks about the Mortis gods that could be revealed to be true. We're talking Ahsoka Season 2 today, and I could not be more excited. Iman Esfandi, Natasha Liu Bordizzo, Ivana Sakno, all posting images from the set of Ahsoka Season 2, and filming has seemingly wrapped, which means a release date is calculatable. Calculatable. You know what I mean. We could be talking about a release date today and figuring out when Ahsoka Season 2 will finally happen. We got a lot to get into and not a lot of time, so without further ado, let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon? Oh, we got a fun one today. As you guys are well aware, I am quite a fan of the series titled Ahsoka, and I cannot wait for Season 2. And the news we were talking about last week has been deemed true because the filming has wrapped on Ahsoka Season 2. And that comes with some crazy set photos from Ahsoka Season 2 that are teasing some pretty wild stuff going down in this second season. And let me just be the first to say, it's got me excited. It's got me pretty damn excited. But before we get into any of it, before we do any of that, let's start by saying hi to everybody in the chat. Shall we? Star Wars Insight, what is up? Another Mike who loves Star Wars, great name. How we doing? Brandon Baker in the house. Holly, what is up? Not a Fed, still don't believe you. Robert, what is up? Rachel, how we doing? Starship 66 in the house. Jeannie from Tahini, what is up? Steve, how we doing? Mystic Troll, what is up? Been a while. Drewby McCool, of course, in the house. Star Wars Order, what is up? John Groom, how we doing? Carry on, what is up? That Dave that loves Star Wars, great name. Trent, how we doing? Navarro, what is up? Look at all these people on time today. Darth Plagueis lives, what is up? All right, if I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little,
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
All right, so where do we even start? So let's start with the, the greatness. This image was posted online on Natasha Liu Bordizzo's Instagram account. And at first glance, you're like, okay, cool, whatever. It's clearly Ahsoka here, Natasha there as Sabine, because she's the one posting it. Whatever. That's fine, looks great, This is nothing. But then, when you start to think about it, when you start to figure it out, it looks a little bit familiar. It looks just a little bit familiar. Just a little bit. Because in this image, they are making the exact same silhouette as the Mortis gods. As you can see right here, the sun is holding up the fist. Oh, other way. To our right. This is all mixing me up. I'm mirrored because I'm on a camera. To his right, he's holding out the fist like this. The father is holding up the hand like this. And if we go back to our image here, Sabine Wren is holding up the hand like this. And Ahsoka Tano is holding up the fist like this. Coincidence? I think not. I mean, come on. It could not be more obvious. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's the exact same thing. And talk about genius. I mean, if this wasn't on purpose, I would that would be more insane to me. This is clearly on purpose, teasing the Mortis gods' involvement in this second season, and possibly, inferring the whole Abeloth theory of it all is to be true. Now, we've gotten some insane leaks over the last couple of weeks or months about the Mortis gods and their involvement in this second season of Ahsoka. And this right here, just a simple little, we're done filming Ahsoka. Just a little silhouette of Ahsoka and Sabine is clearly trying to make you think that this is this and that is this. So, what does this mean? How is this going to play into what Ahsoka Season 2 is about? Well, let's talk about it. Does Ahsoka have the staff? No, that looks like her hand. I mean, maybe it could be a staff, but it looks more like her hand. Yeah. Yeah. Also, what needs to be talked about is what they're standing in front of. If they're on Peridia, nothing like this was seen in the first season. The Night Sister temple / tomb thing that we saw where they arrived and where Sabine was captured and where the Chimera came in and, they took off from, where they took all the dead Night Sisters from, that was made of stone. The rest of the place was a wasteland with some Mortis god statues. We don't see anything that's metal like this on Peridia. So possibly the glimmer of light that Balin's skull was looking for is what we're looking at here. This possible prison for Abeloth that was set by the Mortis gods. Possibly. Fate of the Jedi 2, Mortis Boogaloo. I mean, kind of. We're talking a lot about Abeloth today and Mortis gods today. And none of that is confirmed. But the leaks over the last couple of weeks have been the father has been cast. We're going to be seeing Mortis God flashbacks with Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan and Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, and even Ariana Greenblatt is coming back to play a young Ahsoka in that flashback scene. It all has been leading to this: the Mortis gods being explained in the second season to the normie fans who didn't watch the Clone Wars, and hopefully in all of that, Balin Skull explaining where he was going. Is it Abeloth? Is it something else? Which would be a shock to me. But explaining all that stuff is all revolved around the Mortis gods. Because yes, the information that we do have confirmed by Dave Filoni at Star Wars Celebration about Ahsoka Season 2 is cool. It's a war in our Star Wars, as he puts it, with Grand Admiral Thrawn versus the New Republic, specifically Admiral Akbar. Sounds great. Even the concept art for Ahsoka Season 2 that we saw at Celebration was cool too, because we got to see what the heck happened? Oh, we got a super chat. Oh, okay. I don't know why that did that, but I'll get to that super chat in one sec. We got to see a lot of Chopper, Hera, Ezra, all the people who are in the main Star Wars galaxy, getting to see this war in our Star Wars. What really is being kept a secret, the majority of things that aren't being officially announced by Dave Filoni or Lucasfilm or anything like that, is what's happening in Peridia. Because whatever's happening there with Ahsoka, Anakin's Force Ghost, Sabine, Huge Wang, Balin Skull, Shin Hati, possibly Abeloth, and Mortis gods, is what's going to blow our freaking minds. It's what's going to extend and expand the lore of Star Wars beyond our belief. You thought Season 1 was crazy by introducing a brand new galaxy, by giving us more of a backstory for the Night Sisters, by bringing in Grand Admiral Thrawn as the heir to the Empire? We are just scratching the surface here. That is just child's play in terms of what we could be seeing in Season 2. And it's going to be absolutely insane. So first things first, let's start it with a poll. Do you think this was on purpose? Do you think this hand motion of Ahsoka with the fist out here, Sabine with the hand up like this, is purposefully to mimic, to convey the son and the father in this Mortis God statue seen in seen in Star Wars Rebels, where Ezra goes into the world between worlds? And if so, what do you think this means? Are we going back into the world between worlds in this second season? Are we actually going to see or get an explanation for the Mortis gods from Ahsoka, maybe to Sabine? Tell me in the chat, and let's put up a poll. Let's put up a poll. Do you think this let's call it shadow image. Shadow image was on purpose. Yes or no? You tell me. And let me get to this super chat real quick. Or we got 2 super chats. Hang on. Darth Plagueis lives with a very generous $10 holla. God damn, that's extremely generous. Says Ahsoka season 2 can't come soon enough. You're telling me. But what are the chances we actually do see Abeloth? I would say very high. I mean, we do talk about Abeloth coming in season 2 like it's a confirmed thing to happen. Never once has Lucasfilm, Dave Filoni, anybody confirmed that Abeloth will be in the second season. Never. But the reason that fans think that that's what's happening is because of what season 1 set up. Bale and Skull talking about this never-ending cycle of good versus evil, and this thing that he's looking for on Peridia is going to stop that, wipe the cycle out. Something so powerful to end the cycle of good versus evil. Something more powerful than the Emperor, Palpatine, and Darth Vader. Something more powerful than the entire Jedi Order. The only thing that could be talking about is either the Mortis gods themselves, which we know from the Clone Wars are dead, or Abeloth. So all lines from season 1 are pointing towards this character, and all the leaks, I mean, over a year ago, we got the leak that they were trying to cast for or maybe not over a year ago, but a long time ago, we got the leaks that they were trying to cast for the mother, or Abeloth, in this second season. And everything has been pointing to that conclusion. So no, Lucasfilm has not confirmed it. We don't know for sure, 100%, that Abeloth will be in season 2. But it seems like a pretty good conclusion to come to when you're talking Mortis gods, you're talking all this Legends content coming into canon with Grand Admiral Thrawn and as being the heir to the Empire. It seems like a no-brainer. Now, I will throw in a pretty big wrench into this whole theory about Abeloth and about the Mortis gods in a little bit. That sort of playing devil's advocate type deal. And it more pertains to Grand Admiral Thrawn. But I still think that Abeloth is the most likely thing here. Yeah. Yeah. No tease from Star Wars cast is never not on purpose. True. Well, to an extent. They have been posting these sort of shadowy silhouettes through the course of Ahsoka season 2. Let me see if I can find this real quick. I don't know where this is. Well, oh, there it is. So this is not the first time. So this was on the story. This was probably a couple months ago. So you have Ahsoka Tano there, Dave Filoni in his awesome cowboy hat, and I assume Sabine, but I guess we don't really know for sure. And I think this was on Rosario Dawson's story the first time. So this has been done before, but that doesn't really seem to have any significance. Like the way that they're standing has no. This is just weird. There has to be a purpose. There's no reason for her to hold up her hand like this, for her to hold out her hand like that. There is literally no reason except for this. It's the only logical explanation. Now, the weird part about this is, do you think, and I'll ask you guys, do you think that this is to imply that we're going back to the world between worlds? Because this mural of the Mortis gods was on the Jedi Temple on Lothal, and this was the entrance to the world between worlds that Ezra went in to save Ahsoka in season 4 of Star Wars Rebels. So is this supposed to convey that we are going back into the world between worlds in Ahsoka season 2? Because as I've said a million times on this channel, I don't want them to. I think the world between worlds should be something like Yoda's species that's so unknown and not utilized that much. Because when something happens, like Grogu shows up, it's this groundbreaking, crazy, cool thing. So when they go into the world between worlds in Ahsoka season 1, and you get to see Ahsoka get one last lesson from Anakin Skywalker, it's really, really cool and groundbreaking. If they keep going into the world between worlds over and over and over again, it becomes useless. It becomes not meaningful anymore because you're overusing it. especially with something of such mystery and power like the World Between Worlds. So I hope that that's not the case, but it could just be saying Mortis gods are coming. That's what I think this is saying. We're getting flashbacks to the Mortis gods because, yes, they are all dead. I actually forgot that myself, but you guys brought it up. In the Mortis God arc in the Clone Wars, which, by the way, I mean, one of the best arcs in the Clone Wars. In the Mortis God arc in the Clone Wars, they all die. The son kills the daughter, like, by accident, or not on purpose, which I guess means by accident. And then the son kills the father, and the father kills the son. Nope, I take it back. The son kills the father, and Anakin kills the son, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But all the Mortis gods die. So these three right here, the father, the son, the daughter, they're not showing up in season 2 unless it's a flashback. So the whole rumors and leaks of the flashbacks of Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi, Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, and Ariana Greenblatt back as young Ahsoka seem to be pretty damn true right now. They seem to be like, that's happening. And I'm excited. But tell me in the chat, do you think this is saying we're going back to the World Between Worlds? Let me get to those other super chats real quick. Another Mike who loves Star Wars with a very generous $2 holla. I appreciate that. Says, so hyped for Ahsoka Season 2. Should we do a rewatch party with the members for Season 1? We definitely will. When it gets closer, yeah. Like next year, for sure. Yeah. And I saw another one, too. Oh, yeah. Tafari Tano with a very generous $2 holla says, I hope Sam Witwer is playing the son. You bring up a good point. If the Mortis gods are coming to live action in this second season, how is that going to be done? They're gods. They're supposed to be this crazy sort of different beings. They're not supposed to look very human. In the Clone Wars, they don't look very human. They are human, or they look somewhat human, but they have this godlike feeling to them. How do you convey that in live action? That's going to be pretty hard to do. I would imagine that at least the son, because the son is, I don't really know, actually. The son looks very similar, and people have drawn this conclusion before, that he looks very similar to the, I'm blanking on their names now, Utapauans. Yes, the Utapauans or the Grand Inquisitor, who I believe is an Utapawan. So the Utapauans and the Grand Inquisitor. But when we got the Grand Inquisitor in live action, that was not met with the openest of arms. His face was too round. It wasn't long enough. There was a lot of issues with that. So bringing these three characters specifically to live action is going to be really, really hard to do. Yeah, very hard to do. But I agree with you. I do hope that Sam Witwer is at least the voice. Maybe not physically the character, but at least the voice, which is what they've done with characters like that before. Like, they have Darth Maul, but the voice of Darth Maul and the character of Darth Maul is different, both in The Phantom Menace and in Solo. The physical appearance of the character is Ray Park. He's the guy who can do all the epic lightsaber duels. The voice in The Phantom Menace is Peter Serafinowicz, and then the voice in Solo is Sam Witwer because of, continuity stuff. But I could see them doing Sam Witwer as the voice and then sort of CGI creating the character. I don't know. But here's what has to happen in season 2. In order for them to explain the Mortis gods to normie fans and to everybody, they can use the lack of knowledge that Sabine Wren has to allow us to get those flashbacks. They can have a sort of sit-down conversation with Ahsoka Tano and Sabine Wren without having to go into the World Between Worlds, get the flashbacks like we got in season 1 to the Clone Wars. We can just have it be like a remembering for Ahsoka, but also a telling to Sabine. While she's telling Sabine, she's telling the audience. And we get this great flashback of young Anakin, young Ahsoka, young Obi-Wan, all in their Clone Wars armor and outfits, going to Mortis, seeing all that play out, and getting the explanation for the Mortis gods. you also will have to give us the explanation for Abeloth if that's the route they're going. So a lot of explanation needs to happen in this very, very, very short 8-episode series. I really don't know if that's possible. Because when you start thinking about it, 8 episodes is not a long time at all. It really is not. It took, 3 or 4 episodes in the Clone Wars to explain the Mortis gods? At least. So, you're going to need some time. You're going to need some time to do that. And 8 episodes is not a lot of time. No, it is not. Yeah. Sci-Fi Dude, what's up? How we doing? 8 episodes if they're like 30 minutes long. Well, yes, that's the fear, for sure. What was Ahsoka Season 1's run times like? Let's see. Let's double check this real quick. Ahsoka. This is Ahsoka on Disney+. Episode 1 was 57 minutes. I don't remember it being that long, but okay. 57 minutes for episode 1. 44 minutes, episode 2. 37, 41, 52, 49, 46, and 49. So all around, 37 at the lowest to 57 at the highest. But all around, usually the average is about 45. Yeah. The last 4 are all above 45. These are below, and that's above too. So around 45 minutes. I guess that's a little bit longer for the Disney Plus series. The Mandalorian's episodes are usually shorter. Skeleton Crew, I think, was shorter. But it's still the average sort of 40, 45-minute episodes. It's not a lot of time. It's really not a lot of time. Especially when you're trying to explore some crazy stuff. Now, granted, Season 1 explores some crazy stuff. It introduces new characters like Baylan Skoll, Shin Hati, and others. And it gives us a brand new galaxy, expands the lore, gives us the World Between Worlds sequence with Ahsoka and Hayden and Anakin. That is expanding a lot. But I still think that Season 2 is going to do at least double that in terms of exploring new stuff and lore in the Star Wars universe. And to do Mortis gods and Abeloth, it's going to take a lot. While you're also doing a war in our Star Wars in the other galaxy? How? How is that even going to be possible at this point? All right. Now, before we dive deeper into this, there is another image that was, or two actually, that were released for the behind the scenes from different actors. Let's see. Wait, what? What is that? Oh, sorry, yeah. So let's see this. So Ivana Sakno, who plays Shin Hati, posted something, and Iman Esfandi, who plays Ezra Bridger, also posted something. So here's what Ivana posted first. She posted this on her Instagram story, Pinewood Studios, where they filmed a lot of the series. And she posted this. A whole life lived. Thank you for being my home to us these past 7 months. So 7 months, I did the math, quick maths, is April. And that's when they started filming, the very, very end of April. So the math is mathing there. They have been filming for 7 whole months, which is insane. But I think, granted, Shin Hati does have a big role in Season 1. I think she'll have an even bigger role in Season 2. I'm still along the lines of thinking she's going to become Abeloth, or Abeloth will embody inside of her, because she has that look of just the dead face and the white hair, and she just looks like Abeloth from Legends. But this, to me, kind of sounds like a goodbye message. Now, don't get me wrong. I really, really hope this is Season 3 of Ahsoka. Okay? But this does kind of seem like a goodbye, this is the end type message. Now, tell me in the chat, do you think there will be a 3rd season of Ahsoka? Or is this sort of just going to set up Dave's movie, and then they go from there? Like, is Ahsoka Season 2 going to be the last season of Ahsoka? That's my question. Do you think it's the last one? I really don't know. I could see it being the last one. It could be an end especially for Ahsoka's character, not in the way that she dies, but still an end where she has to remain on Peridia to protect the rest of the galaxy from this larger threat, whether it's Abeloth or Balin or Shin or whatever it is. She might have to protect the entire galaxy from this threat. Dave said it was the last season? When did he say that? I don't remember that. Shin will be possessed by Abeloth? I think so. But to me, this just reads like a whole lifetime lived, you know? This is sort of the end. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. But it does feel like Ahsoka Season 2 might be the last season. Yeah. Maybe a movie after? Well, yeah, I think it will lead into Dave Filoni's movie, which is still happening, and it will happen after this. But it might be the last time we see Ahsoka. Maybe not ever, but for a really long time. Because like I just mentioned, I don't think Ahsoka's coming back. If this Mandalorian and Grogu movie is the beginning of a new trilogy, taking down Grand Admiral Thrawn, she's not coming back for that. Whatever's happening in this other galaxy, as she says at the end of season 1, that's where she's supposed to be. So maybe Sabine comes back. But even that would be a little confusing. Like, how does she get back, but Ahsoka stays? Maybe she decides to stay? I don't know. I just don't see Ahsoka coming back. I think Ahsoka Season 2 might be like a good send-off for the character. Not in the way that she dies. I don't think she's dying. Crazy. Mike doesn't think somebody's going to die. That means she's probably going to die. But I don't think she's going to die in the second season. I just think that she'll have a greater purpose. She won't have to go back and help out with Grand Admiral Thrawn because you have your other heroes like Din, Grogu, Boba Fett, Cobb Vanth, Ezra Bridger, the Ghost Crew, etc. Ahsoka's got bigger problems in a different galaxy. She's needed somewhere else. So if they do make a Mando trilogy, I don't think she'll be involved at all. Like at all. But tell me what you think in the chat. Tell me what you think. Will there be a third season of Ahsoka? Will we see Ahsoka come back to the main galaxy at the end of this second season? Tell me what you think in the chat. Look at time-wise. I don't think Ahsoka Season 2 would be able to lead into a new movie because of Starfighter. So either there's a third season or a really long break. I disagree. Starfighter comes out in 2027, and they're filming it right now, meaning whatever movie comes out in 2028 would have to film this time next year. Are you with me? So The Mandalorian and Grogu finished filming last December. And it comes out next year. May of next year. So if we're going to continue to get the May releases for Star Wars movies, then the second installment of the Mandalorian trilogy would have to start filming not until late next year, this time next year. So there's still time to film that movie for Dave Filoni to, I'm sure he's already begun writing it since Ahsoka Season 2 has finished. But there's plenty of time. And Jon Favreau is going to, of course, work on the movies as well with him. So I agree with you, but I don't. There's plenty of time to still make another movie. It'd be nice to get a season 3, but it would probably be after the movie. Yeah. I think she's coming back because I don't think they'll defeat Abeloth in season 2. I don't think they'll defeat Abeloth either. That's the thing. Abeloth's being set up to be a bigger threat later down the line. What I think's happening here is they're going to just contain Abeloth. Maybe she never breaks out of the prison that she's already in. Maybe she does. But either way, I think it's going to be more of a conflict between Ahsoka and Balin in the second season than Ahsoka versus Abeloth. Because if Abeloth breaks free, nobody's safe. Like, there's no way that Ahsoka, Sabine, and Huge Wang are going to be taking down Abeloth in season 2. There's just no way. There's absolutely no way. It took 3 Mortis gods to imprison her in this place. There's no way that Ahsoka, Sabine, who's a training Jedi, and a droid, granted a General Grievous-like droid with a lot of experience with a lightsaber, There's no way that they're taking down Abeloth. There's no world. So I don't think she's going to escape. I think we'll get an origin story for Abeloth. We'll get an explanation for who she is, but they're setting up the character to be a threat later in the timeline, like post-sequels later. Thrawn is the heir to the Empire. Thrawn is the main threat. Maybe not in Ahsoka Season 2. Well, he still will be because we're getting the war in our Star Wars. But he'll be the main threat for the post-originals, pre-sequels, for some time. At least for a Mando trilogy, I think. So Abeloth is going to be saved for a later date. When that later date is, I have no idea. Yeah. No clue. Yes, Season 2 is the last one leading into movies. Season 3 wouldn't bring in any views. Well, Season 3 would bring in a lot of views if Season 2 is just as good as Season 1. If there is a cliffhanger for this second season, I think it'll be a cliffhanger for the movie. But that doesn't mean that the movie can't have a cliffhanger right back to Ahsoka Season 3. We got Ahsoka Season 1, now we're getting the Mando movie, and then we're getting Ahsoka Season 2. That Mando movie, you best believe, is going to set up in some way Ahsoka Season 2. So it might be a ping-ponging effect where you're going Disney Plus, movie theater, Disney Plus, movie theater, Disney Plus. Maybe. Maybe not. But only time will tell. Only time will tell. It's not a lot of time, but most of the characters are already established for Season 2. I think Star Wars does a pretty good job of explaining things with a relatively short amount of time with these episodes. True. And the best part about Lucasfilm is that they don't dumb it down for their audiences. They don't dumb it down at all. Me and Sam just watched Tales of the Jedi with the whole Count Dooku and Ahsoka stuff. There's nothing in those episodes which, one, tells you in the timeline where you are, and two, explains what's happening. These are 15-minute episodes just thrown in there where you have to figure out where you are in the timeline and what's going on. There's details in the story itself that tell you that. Like, for example, the first Dooku episode, there's a young Qui-Gon with him. So you immediately know where it takes place. The second episode is right after the events, or it's during the events of the Phantom Menace, but it's right after Qui-Gon fights Maul on Tatooine. So he's still alive. And then the third one takes place after Maul kills Qui-Gon, after the Phantom Menace. But all that stuff isn't explained to you explicitly. There's no opening crawl that goes, this takes place at this point. This is happening then. That's happening here. This is then that, then. Lucasfilm doesn't dumb it down for their audiences because they understand that we are smart. Some of us are smart, and we understand what's going on at the time. Some more than others, I guess. However, I will say, having a show be titled Season 2 would imply that you need to watch Season 1, and I think a lot of the information you need to know, like you're saying here, they're already established characters. Even the new ones are established very, very well in Season 1. And Season 2 is going to have not have the burden, I guess, of trying to establish Grand Admiral Thrawn, Ezra, Sabine, Hera, Chopper, Baylan Skoll, Shin Hati, Morgan Elsbeth, to all these people who just have never seen them before. What's a Night Sister? Like that stuff doesn't need to be explained. It already was in Season 1. So Season 2 can fully focus on the Mortis gods and Abeloth. Yeah. Hang on, we got another super chat. Ron with the very generous $10 holla. God damn. You guys are feeling extra generous today. I appreciate that quite a bit. Says, I really think that there's a lot of explanation in The Mandalorian and Grogu alongside Season 2. Interesting. Well, I agree to an extent. Like, yes, The Mandalorian and Grogu will have some explanation for this second season, but not a lot. Because we're talking 8 episodes versus a 2.5 hour, maybe 3 hours at most movie. So in there, you don't really have a lot of time for explanation. Some, but not a lot. I'm sure they'll explain the Shadow Council, the remnant of the Empire. Hopefully, Grand Admiral Thrawn is the heir to the Empire. But probably not much more than that. Like, they definitely won't be getting into Mortis gods or anything of that sort in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Yeah. the way I see it, it's much like the Clone Wars. The Mandalorian is like the episodes where you get the really cool clone stuff, or it's just the action-packed adventure episodes. Then Ahsoka is the force-building, lore-building Star Wars Clone Wars episode. It's the season 6 where Yoda's going to find out how to become a Force ghost. It's the Mortis God episodes. Like, that's what Ahsoka is for Disney+. So you have both. Whatever you like more, you choose. And that's the best part about Disney+. There's literally anything and everything. You want a pirate adventure? Skeleton Crew. You want this crazy thing about Jedi and Sith? Acolyte. You want more of just Obi-Wan and Anakin and the greatness that is those two characters? The Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Like, you get whatever you want. You want a crazy spy thriller? Andor. You want a fun action adventure, father-son sort of duo type thing? Mandalorian. You want some crazy force-building, lore-building, new galaxy craziness with all your favorite characters from the Clone Wars and Rebels? Ahsoka. You want it, you got it. So, I think Ahsoka Season 2 will dive way more deeply into the Force itself, and the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will be more of Remnant of the Empire, Grand Admiral Thrawn type deal. Yeah. Whoa. Indeed. Okay, but let's go back here. Mike, has Sam watched Ahsoka yet? No. So we're watching everything in order now. So we're on Revenge of the Sith. Next is Bad Batch. We've watched The Acolyte, all the prequels up until now, the Clone Wars, Tales of the Jedi. We are up to date. But then we'll have to watch the Bad Batch, Kenobi, Solo, Rebels, Rogue One, Andor. I think that's it. And then the original trilogy, and then we'll get to the Mandoverse stuff. So she won't watch Ahsoka for a long, long time. But when we get there, it's her favorite character, so she's going to be pretty excited. Going back to this, though. Going back to Ivana Sakno's image. Do we think that this is the end? Let's talk specifically her character, Shin Hati. If Ahsoka is supposed to remain on Peridia, well, then what happens to characters like Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati? What happens to them? Baylan, I think, is going to play an enormous role in this second season. I mean, let's be honest. He is the guy. He's the guy looking for Abeloth or this crazy big threat. And they recasted him. Rory McCann's coming in and playing the character. But what about Shin? What about Shin? Thoughts? Manning Film, what's up? Says, hey guys, I've been watching the replays for a long time, but I'm glad I could join live. Love Star Wars so much. Well, Manning, appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being here. I think Ahsoka will show up later on in the timeline. Well, we do have a little bit of information on that. Ahsoka is in The Rise of Skywalker. Now, it is just her voice, and all the other Jedi who are calling out to Rey in that final throne room scene on Exegol are all dead. But Dave Filoni has said that just because she calls out to Rey doesn't necessarily mean that she's dead. So I would love to see Ahsoka come back, but I'd love to see Ahsoka come back in like the Rey movie, and she comes up to Rey, and Rey's like, who the hell are you? And she's like, no time to explain. There's this crazy god-like being named Abeloth that's about to come destroy the entire universe. So get ready. You know? That's my hope. I think Shin will be redeemed. I thought Shin was going to be redeemed in season 1. Maybe they just ran out of time because of the cliffhanger. But I agree with you. I think Shin Hati will be redeemed. That is unless she gets embodied by Abeloth and then probably is going to die. But that is if Abeloth escapes, which I don't think she will. She's the bandit queen. Yeah, but what does that mean? Like, what's her purpose? I feel like everybody at the end of season 1 had a purpose. Ezra got back home. Thrawn got back home. Ahsoka was talking about how her, Sabine, and Hugh Wang are supposed to be there. Even Baylan is looking for that power that he's been looking for the entire season. And then Shin Hati's just like, I don't know what to do. My master left me. I'm going to go and just, hang out with these bandits. I'll hold up my lightsaber, make sure they know I'm badass, make sure they know I'm going to be the ruler of them and they won't mess with me. But it seems like of all the characters at the end of season 1, she's the one who was left off in like a weird spot. Like, what do we do with her character next type deal? You know? What if Balin thinks that he can become the father, but Balin doesn't know that the father died during the Mortis God arc in the Clone Wars? He's standing there on the Mortis God father statue in season 1. I don't think, honestly, I don't know. There's not much that the Jedi know about the Mortis Gods. Think about it. Obi-Wan and Anakin. Granted, Ahsoka's still like a teenager at that time, but Obi-Wan and Anakin have been training their whole lives. Or I guess not Anakin, but Obi-Wan, because, you know, Anakin had 9 years not with the Jedi. But still, they've been training with the Jedi for a long, long time. They don't even know who these people are. They don't know the Mortis Gods. So I really wonder if Ahsoka was there, but I really wonder if Balin does. Balin survived Order 66. Balin was with the old Jedi Order. How would he even know what these statues he's standing on are? You know? There's going to need to be some explanation for that, too. What if Balin attempts to become the father, but then Anakin shows up and shows him who's boss? Well, that brings us to the leaks we had last week. Literally last week. We were talking about how on the set of Ahsoka Season 2, they were filming a scene of Hayden Christensen versus Rory McCann. Anakin Skywalker versus Balin Skull. And we were talking about, well, would that be a flashback to maybe Order 66 and seeing how Balin survived? And maybe we get a look inside the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. Well, Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker slices and dices a bunch of Jedi. Maybe. Or it could be present day, where Balin is going into this glimmer of light in the distance, trying to figure out what's going on, and he has to fight Anakin to get there. But that would be a Force ghost versus a living being, which has never happened in Star Wars. So all these leaks are now, you know, becoming very, very true. Take them with a giant grain of salt still, but they seem to be very, very true, as all lines, literally, all lines point to the Mortis Gods being heavily involved in this second season. This is just genius. Can we talk about this for a second? This is freaking genius! Hey, Natasha, post this image on your Instagram story of you and Rosario just holding up your hands in the specific way. You know, the crazy Star Wars fans that love us so much, the people like Mike, a guy who loves Star Wars, they'll spend at least 2 hours, maybe actually a whole year, talking about it because of this one image. You know? They know what they're doing. They know we're not dumb. They know we knew that they know that we would have seen it. They know that we know that they know that we know that we would have caught that. And we did. And we did. It'd be cool in an upcoming Star Wars project if there was Maz Kanata in a little appearance along the way. It would be pretty cool, because Maz is like 1,000 years old. You got like Yoda, who's 800, 900 by the time he dies. You got the Hutts that are hundreds of years old. Wookiees, hundreds of years old. But Maz Kanata, pretty important character in the sequel trilogy. She's 1,000. 1,000 years old. So yeah, why not bring her in, you know? Yeah, now? Hang on, we got another super chat. Ron, again with the very generous $5 holla. Holy crap. Says, wait, what the hell? Where'd it go? Ah, there it is. Do you think we'll get a Balin Skull flashback of Order 66? Well, it's either that or present day fight between him and a Force Ghost, which I don't really know which one's cooler, but which one would you guys prefer? With the leaks that we got from last week about a Hayden Christensen versus Rory McCann on the set of Ahsoka Season 2, which would you prefer it being? Balin Skull's flashbacks to Order 66 or present day Force Ghost Annie versus Balin Skull, trying to stop him from maybe getting to the Abeloth, maybe trying to stop him in general. Like maybe Ahsoka loses to Balin, he's too powerful, and they all lose, and then Anakin's the last hope. He swoops in as a Force ghost and stops him. Either way, it's going to be epic. I just think the Force ghost thing is actually probably more likely. If we're getting flashbacks, to the Mortis gods, if we're getting flashbacks all the way back to the Clone Wars yet again with Ahsoka, and that takes up probably the majority of a whole episode explaining what happens with the Mortis gods, then you're probably not going to get another episode with a ton of flashbacks. So you probably don't have time to also tell Balin's backstory. I also kind of like how mysterious Balin's backstory is anyway, so I don't know. But you tell me. More flashbacks? I don't know. I love Force Ghost Anakin. World Between Worlds visions gave me chills. Please, more of that. I just need more answers, okay? For flashbacks, I need more answers. That's it. How can Anakin be there on Peridia as a Force Ghost at the end of the first season, but he can't appear to Luke at all? Why is that? Why? If he can come out of the woodworks and fight Balin Skull as a Force Ghost, how? You know? What if the entire episode is a flashback? It could be. I mean, one episode could be sort of put to the side for all flashbacks. Could be. More Order 66 flashbacks. We've seen Order 66 from like 10 different perspectives at this point. Think about it. Of course, Revenge of the Sith was the first one we got from the perspective of a bunch of different Jedi, I guess, as they die. But you got that one. You get the one from the Bad Batch with Kanan Jarrus. You get the one from the Jedi games with Cal Kestis. You get Grogu's from The Mandalorian. You get the Kenobi series one with Reva. Is that it? I think there's more. At least 5. At least 5. Yeah. Why can't he speak to Luke? Was that established? No. That's the thing. Force Ghost Annie has not appeared to Luke since Endor, and he really probably should have. At any point, it would be really nice if he just showed up to Luke and went, look, I'm going to give you some advice. Your nephew's fallen to the dark side. I went through that. I personally went through a pretty similar process. He would be the best resource for Luke as he makes his new Jedi Order, as his nephew falls to the dark side, as he goes into hiding. Like, Anakin would be the best resource for him. And yet, he never appears to him. Why? Why? I think the flashback is a dream sequence. Remembering when Balin Skull referred to Anakin's fight style while battling Ahsoka. So that's what I think. She'll be sleeping and have a nightmare of Anakin. Oh, he'll be sleeping and have a nightmare of Anakin. Interesting. I could see that. Well, it could be something like, for example, it could be like Anakin having the bad nightmares of Padme dying in Revenge of the Sith. You remember when you watch Revenge of the Sith, like he's dreaming, but you see this actual scene of Padme crying out. You actually see it on screen. So maybe something like that where Balin Skull is having a nightmare and we actually see Order 66 from his perspective. That would be pretty cool. I like that. I like that idea a lot. A nightmare sequence. It would be a callback to the Revenge of the Sith days. It'd be a callback to that Force vision and show that Balin Skull has that. But the flaw with that is Anakin seeing the future and Balin Skull will be seeing the past. But it could work. It could work. I like it. I like it. Oh my God. Ron with another $5 haul. God damn, you guys are feeling generous today. says, I love seeing all the different perspectives of Order 66 flashbacks with the individual stories. Oh, me too. Order 66 is the most important thing that has ever happened. It's the most important thing that we've seen on screen. Maybe not ever happened, but we've seen on screen in Star Wars. It is. It's the moment where we get thousands of years of this republic falls like that. 10,000 Jedi fall at the exact same time to the hand of the army that they fought alongside of for over 3 years. That is the most important moment in the galaxy. It's a switch in one single moment. So yeah, seeing that over and over and over again from different perspectives is bound to happen because it's that important. Oops. I twisted the wrong way. I was trying to tighten it more and I loosened it and it just fell. Whoops. Fixed it. Okay. So yeah, I agree with you. I think people a couple years ago were getting a little sick of the Order 66 different variations, but hey, I'm down for even more. It's that important. Also, why I really want to see a flashback of Balan Skoll is to see who his master was. The theory that Plo Koon was. Yes, that theory did run wild, Plo Koon being his master. Let's be honest now. We're talking about Dave Filoni, okay? So if he has the opportunity and it makes sense in the canon of Star Wars to make Balan Skoll the Padawan of Plo Koon, he will. Plo Koon is his favorite character. He will. Yeah. Mike needs a new mic. I literally just got this mic. This mic is awesome. I just got this. Just needed to tighten a bolt. Dave loves Plo. It's his favorite character. He's talked about how Plo Koon is his favorite character. So if he needs a master for Balan Skoll and it works, he'll do it. Yeah. Yeah, more. Exactly. Thank you, Star Wars Insider. I appreciate that. This mic is awesome. All right. Well, let's get to the third post. Sure. From a Ahsoka Season 2 cast member. This one brings us to Iman Esfandi. He actually posted twice. So the first one is this. With the words across the screen that say, "That's a wrap, mate." It looks like... Oh, that's very loud. Hang on. Sorry, Chad. That's Iman. At least it looks like. That's Iman in a stormtrooper's costume. Yeah. Now, we've heard about this war in our Star Wars. Grand Admiral Thrawn in the Remnant of the Empire versus the New Republic. So it's not that shocking to think that we were going to get stormtroopers. This is not like, oh my God, there's stormtroopers. However, Iman is in the stormtrooper costume. Ezra Bridger in the stormtrooper costume. Now, this has happened many a times in Star Wars. Even Ezra himself has done this before, going into a Imperial uniform, and he was a cadet once and trained to be a undercover, to be a pilot, or was it a pilot? He was a cadet for the Empire. I don't know if it was a pilot or not. Somebody let me know. But he's wearing a stormtrooper costume. He's wearing a stormtrooper costume at the end of season 1. True, but it wasn't this. The stormtrooper costume he is wearing at the end of season 1 is very, very different. It's one of the ones from Thrawn that was held together by that Night Sister stuff. Hang on. Ezra in stormtrooper. This was at the end of season 1. Let's see. Yeah, this right here. This is very different. Oh, let's zoom in on that. This is very different, as you can tell from the cracks here, the red, all that, whatever. It's all dirty, whatever. That's very different from this. This is shiny, brand new, no cracks in it. He's getting back in the armor. So Ezra Bridger turns to a stormtrooper, confirmed. He turns to the dark side, confirmed. No, I'm kidding. But it does imply that he's going to be sneaking in yet again in some stormtrooper armor. The coolest part, and this immediately popped into my head when I saw this, is I think they're going to do some sort of secret mission where they're trying to sneak into Thrawn's base or sneak in somehow, some way to something that Thrawn is doing. And it's going to get to show us how genius Thrawn is, because he'll catch on immediately. He'll know that something is wrong, and he'll know, even being not a Force user, know that Ezra is a stormtrooper, know that they've made some sort of secret plan to infiltrate the Empire or the remnant of the Empire. I think Season 2 has the opportunity here to show off Thrawn. Yes, Season 1 did it pretty well. He does best Ahsoka and the others before he leaves. But now we get to see him be all badass with an army, or a little bit of an army, with the remnant of the Empire on his back, on his side. So getting to see that in his strategical genius versus the New Republic is going to be awesome. But this isn't the only thing that Iman had to post, because he also posted this. Wait, what? Oh, this. On his Instagram. As it fades from Ezra Bridger on Lothal perfectly to Iman Esfandi on some sort of balcony. Incredible. And he said this: prayed that Season 2 would go smoothly, be an epic adventure, and take everything to a new level. Locked in and made sure that I was in the best headspace that I could to serve the story, much larger than any one person. That's what I wanted, and I'm certain I got it. So grateful and so excited for y'all to tune in. Godspeed, and may the Force be with you all. Thanks, London. Because they filmed in London. Thought London was a person there for a second. Love, Jabba. Jabba the Hutt, of course. So we knew that Season 2 was going to be a lot bigger. Iman sort of says the exact same thing here. And getting to see him there sort of do the same Lothal thing, it's pretty damn cool as well. Still feels like a goodbye message. Now, I think that Ezra, more than Shin Hati, would be in a Mando trilogy. He would be involved in taking down Grand Admiral Thrawn because he's in that galaxy. Shin, not so much. I do think that Ivana Sakno's message, this one, is more of like it could be interpreted more as a goodbye message, because Shin, she could die in the second season for all we know, but that's just me making some great, predictions as per usual. Oh, that's the wrong thing. But here, Ezra's going to show up all over the place. I don't think they're killing off Ezra Bridger by any means, but it's still pretty cool. So he posted that one, and he posted this one of him with the stormtroopers with "That's a Wrap," and Jabba laughing, and stormtroopers dancing, and "Thanks for coming," and Han saluting. Okay, so he posted a lot of stuff. But all these behind-the-scenes images, I'm sure more will come out. I'm sure more will come out over the next couple days. But it confirms a lot of things. A lot of those leaks were true, because the leaks were saying that today is the last day, or yesterday, was the last day they would be filming, October 6th, and that was true. A lot of the Mortis God stuff, that the father was leaked to be cast, that they're going to be giving us flashbacks to the Mortis gods, a lot of that has a lot more weight to it now after images like this release, when this is clearly Sabine and Ahsoka holding up the same signs that the Mortis gods were on the Jedi Temple on Lothal. And it's clear that all this stuff is coming together oh so nicely. Oh so nicely. But with that being said, tell me in the chat. I actually want to start up a new poll too, because this one's 80% of you. 80% of you do think that, yes, those shadow images were on purpose, and I agree. But let's put up a new poll here. Do you think Ahsoka season 2 is the last season? Oops. Yes or no? Yeah. Is the last season. Wait, what? Go away. No. How did I do that? Oh, fixed it. Someone please tell me people understood the Jabba reference and what that means. Yeah, what do you mean? The Jabba reference, if you don't know, is in reference to his character using the alias of Jabba the Hutt in Star Wars Rebels. Yeah. The Mortis God stuff was sort of confirmed at the end of season 1 with the statues. Who didn't think that they were going to be cast in live action versions in season 2? Why tease the statues at the end of season 1? Well, yes, but no. They gave us the statues at the end of season 1, but that doesn't mean that they'll be in season 2. Those characters are dead. Long gone. They died like 30 plus years before this show takes place. So it's not necessarily 100% a fact that these Mortis God characters will appear in this show. Even the statues themselves are more so conveying that whatever's going on here with Bale and Skull, whatever's happening on Peridia is so important. So important. And that actually brings us perfectly, and I'm glad you brought this up. This brings us perfectly to my wrench, to my devil's advocate type thing, to my other alternative than Abeloth. Maybe Abeloth is still the case, but here's the other alternative. I've been re-listening to / rereading the Thrawn trilogy, the canon one. And I am on alliances right now, and it's a lot of Thrawn and Vader and Thrawn and Anakin. But they go to the sort of edge of the Outer Rim, to the edge of the unknown regions, and they go up against the Grisk. Now, if you don't know who the Grisk are, they are this very, very powerful species that exist in the unknown regions. A lot of unknown region stuff happening with Star Wars. I mean, the sequels, you got Exegol, Thrawn's home world is in the unknown regions with the Chiss and the Chiss Ascendancy, and then you have these Grisk characters. So there's a possibility that much like the Night Sisters, the Grisk could have either originated from this other galaxy, or they could have traveled there as well. There is something that killed everything on Peridia. It's a wasteland. That's something that was made very, very clear in season 1. It's a wasteland. What did that? Was it Abeloth? Maybe. But it seems like this happened after Abeloth was imprisoned, if that happened. Because somebody on the planet made those Mortis God statues. Somebody crafted those. It was probably the Night Sisters who lived there before, but that means that they got extinct. They went extinct. They got killed. It became a wasteland after those statues were created. So what happened? Did this world turn to that wasteland after the Mortis gods died? Were their physical presences actually making life on the planet? Could be. Or did Abeloth turn it to a hellscape? The third option, or fourth option, I don't even know how many options I'm up to now, could be that the Grisk came along. Another species, maybe even the Vong, if you will. But a species comes along and destroys the planet, turns it to that wasteland by killing all the Night Sisters or killing everybody on the planet, whatever it may be. Maybe the two are unconnected. The Mortis God statues in this other species and it being a wasteland are completely unconnected. It's more likely that it's Abeloth, but if they did want to throw in a little 360 and give us the Grisk, because Thrawn and his relationship to that species and his actual goals in joining the Empire are very, very different than people think. Because in Legends, he's just a bad guy. Plain and simple, bad guy. He is the heir to the Empire. He takes over for Palpatine, and he's just a bad guy, and then he dies. That's it. In canon, he has so much more to his story. He joins the Empire to protect his people. And that's always his goal. He's not, the Empire is not first. It's his people first and then the Empire. If the Republic was still around, he would have joined the Republic to protect his people. He doesn't care that it's the Emperor in the Empire. He doesn't care. It's just to protect his people. So, in saying that, when Thrawn becomes the heir to the Empire, he's going to see that the New Republic is a failing government. It's not powerful enough to protect his people. So he's going to see that the remnant of the Empire, what remains of the Shadow Council and all that stuff, is going to be more powerful, and he can take over the galaxy, destroy the New Republic to protect his people. There is so much more to the character of Thrawn now, after the 2 trilogies that he's gotten, that there is so much more than just him being a bad guy for bad guy's sake. And I truly hope, Lucasfilm, if you're watching, make sure that that stays consistent. We need Thrawn to not just be the villain. We need him to have that side of him that people can attach to, that you can go, yeah, he's probably right. From his perspective, that's the right decision to make. That's what you should do to protect his people from this crazy threat. And it would be so awesome, I mean, unbelievably cool, if Thrawn was like, hey, guys, there's this big old threat named the Grisk, or maybe even Abeloth. Because let's not forget, at the end of season 1 of Ahsoka, he's running from something. He is getting as fast as he can off that planet of Peridia because he does not want to deal with whatever's on that planet. And it's probably Abeloth. So maybe, just maybe, he warns the New Republic. He warns Luke, Leia, Han, or maybe just the others, Mando, Grogu, Harrison Dula. He warns them there's a bigger threat, whether it be Abeloth, whether it be the Grisk, or whatever. And then he dies, or then he gets defeated, whatever happens. And he was right, and then it happens. Maybe he warns them about the First Order. Maybe he warns them about Snoke. Maybe he warns them that Palpatine's still alive on Exegol. And they're like, nah, that old Thrawn, he's a crazy guy. He's a bad guy. But us as the audience would be like, hey, he's right. Stupid. Open your eyes. Somehow Palpatine returned. It'd be great. It'd be great. I think the Yuuzhan Vong ship looked like the Purrgil. You're not wrong. You are 1000% not wrong. Do I think they will bring in the Yuuzhan Vong anytime soon? Probably not. Probably not ever. The Grisk are sort of the canon adaptation of those characters, but still. The only problem is that the normie fans, / the larger audience, don't know that background about Thrawn. True. But let's not forget, Star Wars always has worked that way. You get English, Mike. You get introduced to Darth Vader in A New Hope. You're like, that guy's pure evil. That guy is the worst person on the entire planet or galaxy. And then by the end of the 3rd movie, he's the hero. The name of the movie is Return of the Jedi. It's the return of Anakin Skywalker. He's the hero. So this is not something that's out of the norm. We've gotten thrown into the middle of a story where we don't know the character's backstories before. You don't know that he was once Anakin Skywalker, a Jedi in A New Hope. You don't know any of that backstory of the character. So Thrawn could be in a very similar light. He's established as sort of a villain in Ahsoka Season 1, and in The Mandalorian and Grogu, and in Ahsoka Season 2, and then maybe in Dave's movie, we get to see the other side of him, so to speak. I always would love to compare this trilogy to, or the last 2 movies of this trilogy, to Infinity War and Endgame. Give me a 1 into the chat if you've seen Infinity War and Endgame. I certainly hope you all have. But give me a 1 into the chat if you've seen Infinity War and Endgame. Infinity War is a Thanos movie. It is. It's telling why Thanos is doing this, why he's the Mad Titan. You see his planet got destroyed, and that he could have solved the issue that destroyed all of his people, and they wouldn't listen. And he wants to save everybody in the galaxy by killing half the people in the galaxy. He wants to save all these worlds because the resources are running out. Now, don't even get me started on how he could have doubled the resources, but he could have, by by just deleting half the galaxy, he's making everybody live. So from his perspective, he's the good guy. Now, it's a little bit different with Thrawn because from pretty much every other perspective, Thanos is the bad guy. He kills half the universe. But with Grand Admiral Thrawn, he does have that purpose. And the purpose is a lot better, I guess, than Thanos's. It's to protect his people from this bigger threat that the rest of the galaxy doesn't even know about. And that's intriguing. That's what is really, really cool. So even when Thanos is destroyed in Endgame, you have to think there's millions of planets out there where all those people are starving. They don't have enough resources. They're all going to die. And he could have solved that. Granted, he would have killed half the universe, which is horrible. But he would have solved that, and the other half would have survived. And not all of them would have died. I'm starting to sound like I'm getting on Thanos' side. I am not on Thanos' side. However, when it comes to Thrawn, a lot of people might be on his side. You see that the New Republic is stupid. You see that they don't know what they're doing. You see how annoying they can be, like Senator Ziono. And Thrawn might be telling them the answers to the questions that they don't even know yet. Like, there is this bigger threat going. If he tells them that Palpatine's alive on Exegol, I'm going to lose it. But, especially if they don't listen. But you might feel for Thrawn a lot more than you do for any other villain. Palpatine is just pure and simple evil. Even Vader, who does eventually come back around, he's still just evil. Like, there's no redeeming qualities of Vader in A New Hope. You're not rooting for the guy. Ever. But with Thrawn, you might be. You might be actually rooting for the villain for the first time in Star Wars. Unless you're a psychopath and you're always rooting for the villain in Star Wars. But you might actually have a reason to. Yeah. Yeah. I find it funny that Disney is using Legends Star Wars in order to save Star Wars' story, to make so much for new quote-unquote canon. Well, they're not using the exact same thing of Legends. It's sort of like what I was saying on last stream. You have a lot of creatives, like Dave Filoni, who grew up on those Legends stories, like The Heir to the Empire, and they want to see those great characters that they loved from their childhood be in Star Wars. So Thrawn from, like I just got done saying, Thrawn from the Heir to the Empire trilogy in the 90s is vastly different from the Thrawn in canon. Like, so unbelievably different. In a good way. And that now being brought into live action is going to be awesome. But the same could be said about certain other characters. If they're going down the route of Abeloth, it's not because they ran out of ideas. It's because Abeloth is a freaking incredible idea. And when they were writing the Mortis God arc in the Clone Wars, that's the same time that they were writing the Abeloth arc in Legends. And actually, well, there's a story there with Dave Filoni. But either way, those two things are very much connected. Legends and canon, at least at that time. And now you're going to get to see it come over to canon in a different way. It's still Legends characters, but it's going to be different. Yeah. I agree with him being a kind of sympathetic bad guy in a case with, in that case, it's a good twist. It's something that obviously you couldn't do with Palpatine. Exactly. Palpatine's an incredible villain. Don't get me wrong. He's like the most underrated villain of all time, I think. Because when you talk about best cinematic villains or best villains just in general, always at the top of that list is like Vader, Victor Von Doom, the Joker, and others. Palpatine is never at the top of that list, and he is a way better villain than Vader. No offense to Vader. Because half of Vader's life, he's a hero. Palpatine is never the hero. In that first half of Vader's life, when he is the hero, Palpatine is strategically doing an entire galaxy-wide war where he is the leader of both sides. He is so underrated. But yes, there's definitely no rooting for Palpatine at any point. Unless you're crazy. Which maybe some of you are. The jury's still out. I've seen some theories way back that were that the calling Palpatine hears from the unknown regions were the Grisk / the Vong, and he feared them. Therefore, he wanted to create the Death Star to fight them. I've heard that theory too. That's sort of a Legends idea. I'm not opposed to that. I think the Death Star was sort of created just to so that Palpatine didn't have to worry about the Senate anymore. If anybody was going to say no to him, he could blow up their planet, and that was it. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with the fact that they're using Legends to save them, but I also think that they're just using their resources well. Exactly. There's so much great content, and we talked about the Old Republic last stream for like an hour and a half. There's so much great content in Legends that deserves to be brought into canon, like the Heir to the Empire stuff, like Abeloth, and like the Old Republic. All those characters, all the even the Dawn of the Jedi stuff. It's so good that it deserves to be in canon and can tell a even better version of it in canon. Yeah. I heard something in canon, but it was that Chiss Skywalkers. What? Yeah. So the Chiss have people called Skywalkers, but it's unrelated. Unrelated. Yeah. Okay. Where was I? We just went on some crazy tangent about Grand Admiral Thrawn and how great of a villain he is, but only time will tell. It would be a huge missed opportunity if they don't go down that route. If they just give us Thrawn as a villain and only a villain with no redeeming qualities, that would be a shame. That would be a mistake. But only time will tell. We do have some other Ahsoka Season 2 news in terms of Bryce Dallas Howard. We talked about last week or 2 weeks ago, maybe even. Bryce Dallas Howard giving us sort of the first sneak peek, in a way, of Ahsoka Season 2, where she was talking about how it's romantic and it's this epic journey and all this great whatever. She was hyping it up like crazy. But she did say something else. So there's this other, yeah, right here. Bryce Dallas Howard says she wants to continue directing Star Wars projects. This is coming off the back of Ahsoka Season 2. I love it so much. I yearn for the minds to stay on this path and be able to be in that world, whatever it is. If I can be a service to Lucasfilm, I will. Now, tell me in the chat, do you want Bryce Dallas Howard to direct a Star Wars movie or get her own show and direct the whole thing like they did with Deborah Chow for the Kenobi series? I think she's certainly done the time. She's certainly had that ability. She can do it. She's proven that. Some of the best episodes of The Mandalorian, of the Book of Boba Fett, of Skeleton Crew were her episodes. So it'd be great to see her get a movie. Now, what if she gets the third installment of the Mando trilogy? What about that? So the first movie would be Jon Favreau, The Mandalorian and Grogu. Second movie would be Dave Filoni. And the third movie is Bryce Dallas Howard. Dave and John would obviously be executive producers and probably write the thing, but she would direct it. Writer and director are very different things. That would be pretty cool. I think they'll give her the Rey movie. Well, the Rey movie already has a director. Yeah. Can I get some good cups follow orders in the chat, please? Speaking of Revenge of the Sith. Yeah. But that's what Bryce Dallas Howard had to say about continuing, at least. Oh, yeah. I've heard some talk. So when this image posted, when Ivana Sakno posted this image about Pinewood Studios and how she, this was her home for the last 7 months, so many people were talking about how, oh no, this is the end of the world. The whole show is going to be on the volume. They didn't film on location, like blah, 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 blah. That whole stuff, you know? Let me just pull this up. Hang on. Let me just pull it up. This was a great response to that. If you ever see anyone claiming that Ahsoka Season 2 was done fully in the volume, ignore them and move on. Okay, that's good to see. They're either lying or, unfortunately, misinformed. I recommend everyone, if able, pick up the Blu-ray for Season 1. It's all there, in addition with countless VFX breakdowns. These are the sets of Season 1. Like, this is the first episode. These are these enormous sets from Season 1. So, yes, they use the volume quite a bit. But they do all this other stuff. Like, come on. Yes, they use the volume, and the volume is great. Like, look at this. But these sets are enormous. So, don't believe everything you see online. We'll put it that way. But that was weird. Like, the reaction to this image was, oh no, it's all the volume. The big thing for Andor was that it was a lot of practical effects and all that stuff. But the amount of CGI and VFX stuff in Andor is probably an insane amount more than Ahsoka Season 1. Yeah. But having said that, we got to that. Oh, okay. Let me a little bit off the Ahsoka Season 2 stuff. We got two other things to get to that's non-Ahsoka Season 2. Then we'll come back to Ahsoka Season 2, okay? So hold your thoughts for Ahsoka Season 2 still. Hold your thoughts. Check this out. This is the thank you from Cameron Monaghan for Rebuild the Galaxy Season 2. And it's all just screaming, and we'll watch it in a second. It's all just screaming, we're getting more Cal Kestis. That's all this screams to me. So, take a look at this.
I just want to say thank you so much for supporting Cal in this story.
Hang on, that's way too quiet.
I just want to say thank you so much for supporting Cal in this story, in this journey. Everybody's reactions to it has been incredibly special. Being able to see people in cosplays of Cal Kestis, it's amazing. I genuinely can say that this is one of my favorite characters that I've ever been able to play. It's something that's really special to me. Thank you so much. I just want to say
no, Cameron, thank you. We've been talking about Cal and coming to live action for months now. Actually, probably years now. And the opportunity to see that happen would be incredible. But even just getting to see him in Rebuild the Galaxy was awesome. But tell me in the chat, do you want Cal Kestis in live action? And as we're talking about Ahsoka Season 2, what is the likelihood that Season 2 has Cal Kestis? On a percent chance from 1 to 100, what do you think the percent chance is that he is in Ahsoka Season 2? I'd say it's pretty low. I'd say it's probably around the 10% range, maybe 20%, if that. But he does have the connections to Dathomir. He does have the connections to the Night Sisters. When you talk about Thrawn and where he's at on Dathomir and with the Night Sisters and all that stuff, it does point to Cal Kestis being involved. Maybe at the very end of Season 2 he gets brought in or something. They need backup. They need information about Dathomir, so they go to Cal Kestis. I don't know. It'd be pretty cool to see him. That's all I can say. It'll be pretty cool. Darth Rakunar, what's up? How we doing? Been a while. He could be in Starfighter. He'd be pretty old by the time of Starfighter, but I could see it. Like, he's the perfect age right here, in this, right now, to play the Cal Kestis in the Mandoverse. To have him be in Starfighter would be a lot older. Where's Merrin during the Ahsoka show? She's going to think about Thrawn bringing the dead Night Sisters. What's she going to think about it? Yeah, I don't really know. Because Merrin's whole family or Night Sisters died while Grievous massacred them. And she survived. So, I don't know. But I do know one thing. And as I can tell by the chat right now, You guys want Cal Kestis. You want him in live action. And so do I. It's more of a question of when. It's more a question of when will we get him. It'd be weird to just sort of bring him up in a movie somewhere because there's no real time to explain who he is and what is he doing. Not everybody plays the games. That's the issue. A lot more people watch the Disney Plus shows than play the games. So in order for him to get established to the normie fan, it'll be a little difficult. But hey, if you can establish the Mortis gods in Abeloth to the normie fans, it should not be that hard to bring in Cal Kestis. Now, we'll pull it up. Sure. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. By the way, the third Jedi game, who knows when that's going to come out after the EA stuff? But hopefully, 2027 looks pretty good. By the way, wait, let me pull this up. Do you think Cal Kestis will be in Ahsoka Season 2? Yes or no? And before you just say no right away, remember, we're talking Dathomir, Night Sisters, all that stuff with Ahsoka Season 2. That's Merrin, and that's Cal Kestis. Dathomir is an explorable planet in both games. Don't forget. I think if Cal Kestis is brought into live action, I think Starkiller deserves to too. Even if he's not as powerful. Well, the problem with that is Starkiller's in a Legends game. The Jedi games are canon. They follow the canon of Star Wars, and Cal Kestis specifically is a canon character. So it's a little bit different, and yes, he's not nearly as powerful. Starkiller is just way too overpowered. You know? Yeah. No worries, that guy B. What's up? How we doing? I think more people actually played the game than watched the Disney Plus shows? No way. There's no way. Even if they sold 1 million copies, that's 1 million people watching Disney Plus, which is far more than that. Yeah. Plus the Zepho mentioned in Ahsoka. Exactly. So even more connections. The Zepho connections in Ahsoka Season 1. We got Dathomir, Night Sisters. All that points to Cal Kestis. And the coolest part about it is nobody's talking about this because all the Bale and Skull stuff with Rory McCann, there's the Hayden Christensen coming back, the war in our Star Wars. There really is a lot to talk about when it comes to Ahsoka Season 2, that if Cal Kestis was to be in there, it would go very much under the radar. And people wouldn't see it coming, which would be great. A surprise to be sure, but a welcome one.
This is where the fun begins.
Yeah. Really crazy, though. Cal left Tanalorr and is on Peridia with Ahsoka and Sabine and becomes the son, giving into the dark side. No, but I don't think he goes to Peridia, but he does. I mean, Tanalorr is such a cool concept. And he does have Bode's daughter now, too, that he might train in the ways of the Force or something. I don't really know. This poll actually is very, very close right now. 55-45. We'll see. Maybe we get an Easter egg reference to Cal in Season 2 of Ahsoka, which would serve an indirect tease to his live-action appearance in an upcoming film. I could see that, too. Or maybe like a mention of him or something, and then he shows up in a film. I would just love it for Harrison Dula to be like, Dathomir, where have I heard that before? And then she calls up a friend and it's like Leia or something. Or Luke even. And Luke's like, oh, Dathomir, I'm hanging out with Cal Kestis right now. And him and Cal are just like hanging out on Ossus, training with lightsabers. With Leia, with a lightsaber. See, these are the thoughts that go through my head, like the greatest possible option. But that probably won't happen. But it'd be great. It would be great. It would be great. Yeah. Okay. But the other thing that we got to talk about today that is actually unrelated to Ahsoka Season 2, that one was still related, is this new trailer that just dropped today. Didn't think you'd notice that we had a trailer today, chat. So this is the today. Wait, what? Oh, today launched a new Star Wars game and the return of an epic Star Wars character from long, long ago. Mike, is that a new mic? Looks unfamiliar. Yes, it is a new mic. Shout out to SE Electronics. It's pretty amazing, too. All right, check this out. Whoop, hang on. You guys can't see that. Here we go.
Pod racing. It is truly a dangerous sport.
Yeah, winning races is sort of my thing.
They're really moving. No secret technique here, just their speed.
So I do have one of these Oculuses, or the Meta Quest, or whatever they're called. I definitely don't have the new one, which these look like way more advanced than mine. I probably have an older one. But this game, at first I was like, this is dumb, but it looks awesome. Well, let's be honest. You can do pod races in augmented reality, and then the story itself is Saboba, is around Saboba in pod racing.
Yeah, winning races is sort of my thing.
You got the Hutts, which could, I mean, in theory, connect to the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. The Empire, Saboba.
They're really moving.
You can even put these things in your room, like stormtroopers and R2 units and well, other things.
No secret technique here, just their speed.
Like, I don't ever use the Oculus, but I would use it a couple times to play this. Like, this looks cool. Yeah. It does look cool. But there's that. I feel like the Oculus just didn't really hit, you know? It should have been bigger. Should have been bigger. I feel like people just don't want to put the thing on your head and then be outside reality. But I don't know. I don't know. Okay. They're like $300, LOL. Yeah, they're expensive, for sure. I think I got mine for Christmas like years and years ago. But that was the trailer that dropped today. Now going back to Ahsoka Season 2. Getting back to Ahsoka Season 2. Honestly, guys, I could stare at this all day. The fact that they dropped this today. Let's talk about a release date, okay? So if it stopped filming on October 6th, yesterday, or today. Was it today? Yesterday? Whatever. October 6th, or October 7th. When did Ahsoka Season 2 stop filming? Ahsoka Season 1 stop filming? Stop filming. Let's see. Ahsoka Season 1 stopped filming in October of 2022. There you go. And then it came out in August 23rd of 2023. So, we are looking at the exact same filming and release schedule for Ahsoka Season 2. So, if all things work, by next August, in 10 months from now, we could be getting Ahsoka Season 2. And what gets me even more excited about that is before that happens, before we get Ahsoka Season 2, we have to get Maul, Shadow Lord, and the Mandalorian and Grogu. The next 12 months for Star Wars fans are going to be so insane. So insane. We are living it up here as Star Wars fans. Not only are we getting incredible news and leaks and all this greatness like this, in reference to Mortis gods, or the leaks of possibly Force Ghost Anakin versus Baylan Skoll, or even flashbacks to Order 66, and a Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. But we also got Rebuild the Galaxy Season 2. We're getting Visions Volume 3 in a couple weeks. We are just... It's such a good time to be a Star Wars fan. It really is. Like, there's just so much going on. It's incredible. Maul Shadow Lord's going to be great. I think that of all things, is going under the radar for me specifically, just because I'm so excited for Ahsoka Season 2. Can't wait for Star Wars to go back to the movie theaters. Maul Shadowlord, after having watched the Clone Wars again and where Maul's story leaves off with Ahsoka at the end of Season 7, I can't wait. Especially if they're giving us Darth Talon. Yeah. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. Yeah. I'm so excited for the future. Oh, you and me both. I don't even like Maul, and I'm still hyped, LOL. Well, Maul is my third favorite character. Well, that's the coolest part about next year for me specifically. My top 3 characters in Star Wars are in order: Anakin, Ahsoka, and Maul. Tell me your top 3 characters in Star Wars in the chat, but those are my 3. And next year, Anakin and Ahsoka are both in Ahsoka Season 2. And Maul is getting his own series. And then I get just the Mandalorian and Grogu as an added bonus because they're awesome too. And Grogu's everywhere. Yeah. Don't forget Marok too. Yeah, Marok's going to be in the freaking Maul series. So more background on the mysterious character that just turned into smoke when they killed him in Ahsoka Season 1. We're going to be Maroked again next year. Yeah. I think Shadowlord will be like February to April next year. I agree. Yeah. It'll be early next year. It'll probably be like 16 episodes like the Bad Batch was. So it'll probably have to come out at least 16 weeks before the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So you're talking early next year, probably February or March. Yeah. Top 3 characters: Anakin, Ahsoka, and Watto. Okay. Valid. Weird, but yes. Anakin, Boba, or Jango, and Darth Revan. Nice. Anakin, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan. Valid. Obi-Wan's definitely my top 5. For sure. Vader, Thrawn, Boba. Thrawn's up there? Those are a lot of bad guys. You guys are, geez, a lot of evil people in this chat. Luke, Leia, and Thrawn. Another Thrawn. Wow. All these Thrawn fans. You're going to get a lot of Thrawn in the future. Ahsoka, Anakin, Leia. Nice. Vader, Maul, and Mando. Valid. Valid. A lot of villains. You guys are horrible people. No, I'm just kidding. I had Anakin and Maul too on mine, so what are you going to do? Well, what are you going to do? This has got me so excited, guys. All I'm doing is just staring at this on my other screen. And what's so great about this too is Ahsoka, in theory, is the son, and Sabine is the father. But Ahsoka, in reality, is the daughter. Like, Anakin uses his powers, with the help of the father, actually, to transfer the essence of the dying daughter into the dying Ahsoka, and now she is the daughter. It would be really, really funny, too, if this was all just a coincidence. Imagine. Everybody's losing their minds today about this image right here and how it's so ridiculously close to this. And it's all just fake. It's all just an illusion. That would be bad. That'd be real bad. Because we'll be talking about this image right here until Ahsoka Season 2 comes out. For the next 10 or 11 months, whatever it takes, this is what we'll be talking about until we get like a trailer or something. But even when we get a trailer, if there's any reference to the Mortis gods, we'll be bringing this image up. Like, this will be brought up over and over and over again. So it better be real. It better be real. Darth Vacunar, a huge Rebels fan. Top 5 characters: Chopper, Kanan, Zeb, Ezra. That's 4. But your 5th is Jod. Roast me, I don't care. I love Jod. He's not a top 5 character all time, but, you know, he's great. Love the Rebels love, though. Padme, Anakin, and Ahsoka. Honorable mention is AP5. Like that. AP5 in the top is crazy. Cassian the Stranger. Cassian Andor, shout out. And the Stranger is pretty great too. Bring on the Thrawn. Bring them on. I mean, Anakin and Ahsoka are probably the most explored characters, so no wonder we all love them so much. Yeah, them and Obi-Wan, probably the most. Yeah, definitely. For sure. But you could explore a character a lot and they suck. So it's not that they're just destined to be good because they explore them so much. You know? Yeah. Indeed. All right, but did we miss anything? Has anything happened since we went live here? I think we got to everything I want to get to. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, somebody has brightened up this. Oh, wait, no. Another post? I'm confused. So this looks like the same image outside of the stage. It looks like to be brightened up or something. This is Shin and Sabine, it looks like. I think Sabine's going to get the long hair back in season 2. I think so. Because, I mean, they'll be on Peridia for some time. But we'll see. That looks like Shin and Sabine there. There you have it. It says whimsical late nights with Ivana Sakno. There you go. This is literally me. Shout out to Will. Will of the Force. Shout out to Will. Me checking my phone every 30 seconds for Ahsoka Season 2 updates. This has been me for like the last 2 days. Actually, this has been me for the last like 3 years. What are we talking about? Yeah. Okay. I think. Oh, nope. I think. Oh, the Death Star. Since we last talked, the Death Star Lego set actually came out. We talked about it with the trailer and stuff, but it actually did release. Dave, give me a 1 into the chat if you picked up that Death Star Lego set. Yes or no? The Death Slice. Yes, the Death Slice. Your pal Joe, what's up? I like long hair Sabine, but I don't like short hair Sabine. Well, she had the short hair throughout Rebels. The long hair was the surprise. Yeah. Yeah. No, but nobody got the Death Slice. It's $1,000. It's a lot. Yeah. All right. Oh, that's what it was. So Ivana Sakno posted this image that we looked at before on her story, and Natasha reposted the same picture, or posted her story on her story. That makes sense. There you go. There you go. Yeah, I think that's all. What? Oh, okay. Let's see. Wait, what? Here we go. Yeah, we watched that. We watched that. We did that. We did that. I think we hit it all. All right, chat. Well, I do have to get on out of here. I got to go finish up the short for later on tonight. So watch out for that. And yeah, I mean, this is quite the crazy news day. Quite the crazy news day. Well, I mean, we'll only be talking about this forever, so we'll talk about it on Thursday, too. It costs how much? $1,000. Yeah, the Death Slice costs $1,000. It indeed does. So smash a freaking like on this stream if you have not already. If you are not in the Discord, there's a link in the description below to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. Go join that. Keep the conversation going. We can talk about this stuff all day long on there, so go for that. And yeah, huge shout outs for the super chats. Ron, another like who loves Star Wars, not a Fed. Darth Plagueis lives. I appreciate you all for the very generous super chats. I appreciate it. And smash a freaking like in the stream. How many likes do we have? What? We had so many people here today. Where are all the likes at, chat? Where are all the likes at? But I appreciate it. Smash a freaking like on your way out if you have not already. And may the force be with you. Always. Oh, yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate you all so much more than you'll ever know. This was crazy. This was crazy. I can't wait for Ahsoka Season 2, if that wasn't made clear enough today. But this has got me hyped up. Mortis gods everywhere. Well, we'll figure it out. But until next time, hope you have a great rest of your evening. Great rest of your lives. And good night, everybody.